despite their costly responsibility of delivering to over 100 million addresses nearly every day. By 2006, the Postal Service was making $1 billion a year and supporting $1 trillion mail industry. But it wasn't enough.
Right now, the US Postal Service is in the fight of its life to save an industry
in such bad financial shape that it may have to shut down this winter.
And it's now facing default.
A thunderbolt about the future of the US Postal Service.
We see some major changes in
Today, a
operation.
title.
The Postal Service is a cash cow, and there was a way to pull money out of the Postal Service to put into the federal budget.
The Postal Accountability and Enhancement Act was signed into law by President George W. Bush in 2006. Under the law, the Postal Service must prepay pension funds in 10 annual installments of over $5.5 billion.
No other company does that. No other government agency does that.
President Bush, he said he would only sign the bill if the Postal Service recognized that they have a liability for the health care costs of their pensioners now and going forward, and that they agreed to fund it over 10 years. Well, most employers have not even recognized that it's a liability, but in order to get him to sign the legislation, we had to agree to that. I think when the president signed the bill in 2007, we thought everything's fine, it's hunky-dory, and a year later, we're in this terrible economic mess as a country.
I actually think there was some malice among some individuals involved that wanted to see the United States Postal Service as a union environment go away and just privatize the whole thing. I think there was some of that in the mix.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a third quarter, and you're down by 25 points. And if Tom Brady doesn't come in, the fact is you're bankrupt. You're beyond bankrupt. Deferred maintenance is about $9 billion. Those vehicles and things that just have to be restored soon or the wheels literally will fall off.
That tells us, as a businessman, that no matter what they say, they have more than a small cash flow problem. 80% of their costs are human beings. And if you've got too many human beings, you'll build in inefficiency, you'll use labor poorly.
Done in by decades of lavish spending, defeated by new technology. Booming last century, it's bleeding money today. It begs for a government bailout.
That was a way to make the books of the post office look like they were losing money, so you could portray the postal system as inefficiently unprofitable and therefore make the comparison to FedEx and UPS. Gee, they're profitable, but that's only because you didn't make them do what you made the post office do. It's hustling the public. It's shameful.
In spite of the economy tanking, if we hadn't had that payment, the Postal Service would have been one of the few businesses around that actually made money. We would have been hailed as a great success.
Saddled with a $56 billion demand by the federal government, combined with the biggest financial collapse since the Great Depression, the stage was set for the hustle, the half-truth that would justify the largest downsizing in U.S. history.
First-class mail is declining at a rapid pace because people are mailing less.
In this information age of emails, tweets, and text messages, what we affectionately call snail mail seems somewhat impractical.
The post office is essentially technologically obsolete. I mean, we all have a post office in our pocket.
We must create a low-cost, streamlined operational network.
They called it network rationalization. It would break apart the infrastructure that kept mail fast, affordable, and reliable.
As we consolidate plants, we'll be moving people from one place to another. In some cases, we'll be moving employees from one job to another.
Sorry, mail volume's down. That's excess, the whole building. Excess this. Get rid of all of it. I don't care. It's not me. Move them out and tell them to be lucky they got a job.
Demonstrations sprung up across the country in 2011 and 12.
We want to get the mail out. We don't need no bailout. We want to get the mail out.
What they're doing across the country is they're closing postal mail facilities, and one of them here in our valley is Mid-Hudson.
just to anybody that's immediately involved, the lunacy of sending local mail 100 miles this way or 100 miles that way when you've got the facilities and the equipment and the people right here.
The fact that they would take our mail, ship it off to Albany, let them work it, bring it back, and then the trucks would arrive to deliver the mail. It's just a delay of mail service.
I'm not going to talk about the fact that this should be a jewel in your system, the fact that it has a $1 a year lease, the fact that it sits in Stewart Airport, the fact that it's on the crossroads of the Northeast on 2 major highways.
I'm here tonight as a taxpayer, small business owner, and a person who spends thousands of dollars at the post office. You're going to sink the ship completely.
All of those people that we deliver to and that we process their mail, they will get it overnight, first class.
What the Postal Service proposes is changing that overnight service to a 2 to 3 day service.
Things that we're really concerned with are the elderly, the poor, those that are dependent on their medicines. You know, they're out there and they're depending on that mail to be delivered by their carrier.
As far as being a letter carrier, it's very personal because I deliver to the route I grew up on. As a mail carrier, I deal with these people every day, and I don't want to see the service get cut for them. I hate to see what the Postal Service does to our customers. They almost treat our customers like they don't count, and that's what we're fighting for. We do think they count.
You have to pay your bills. You want your bills to get there on time. You don't want to count on waiting a week and a half or 2 weeks or whatever the heck it's going to take. That's not right. And not everybody owns a computer. Not everybody wants to do their mail over the internet. Not everybody wants to do their banking over the internet. You look at the hacking that's going on. I rely on the Postal Service to do my business.
The Postal Service, you're bucking a trend here. Things are trying to get more local, and we're talking about getting people to commute an hour and a half in their cars. For me, it's going to be over 3 hours round trip. And then having these trucks go distances.
You're also talking about all of that pollutant. Hudson Valley is the most beautiful valley that you could imagine with the river and everything, and it's at a big expense for everybody.
They're being told there's no jobs within 50 miles. Might be jobs within 100 miles. And then if there's no jobs within 100 miles, they're talking maybe up to 200, 300 miles. They own homes or they live in condos. They got kids in school or kids in college. They can't afford just to pack their bag and move out.
We don't want to lose them. They're great people. They're great neighbors. They're lovable. Please don't move away.
These people down at that plant give their heart and soul to that damn plant.
This job represents for me, I was able to provide my children a home, a stable family environment. I have a daughter now in college. My 2 boys are in high school. If I lose this job with the economy the way it is, how can I support my children?
If they take our jobs away at the plant, we have no idea where we're going to be working. It just seems like they're going to tell us at the last minute and nobody really cares.
In all, 223 plants had operations moved elsewhere.
The Postal Service is a human organization.
With postal managers promising a $1.6 billion savings in 2 years. After 2 years and all the disruption, they saved about $91 million, or 5.5% of their imagined goal.
The loss of jobs is typical in all industries as they're going to automation. The only way to be more efficient is to embrace technology and automation.
Today, they got machines that sort so much mail that you blink an eye and they got a truck full already. And what did that mean? That meant less jobs.
But if you look at some of the things Amazon is talking about, drones and the like, I think they're looking for a way to cut the middleman out on delivery.
Drones, robots, all technological changes are now revolutionizing most of the industries in our economy. So this is a general problem. One solution is, you 50, you're fired. Go home, go on welfare, become a crook, leave the country, whatever. Here's a second way. Everybody works half-time. Nobody loses a job. And guess what? Nobody loses any pay either. Half the work time of everybody there, of 100 people, is now available for their families, for their own development, for their relationships, for the community. That's a benefit for the majority. We don't do that. We do the opposite. We fire 50 of them because that makes profit. Because the money you don't have to pay those 50 you fired, you, the employer, get to keep.